tarot cards are often the first step and basis for a seeker of metaphysical knowledge, like you, to discover your forever path. That could be astrology, numerology, healing arts, or any other spiritual interest you discover along the way. Elaine Ireland is not only a teacher of tarot, she is a mentor who supports you and will be there for you. Visit www.elaineIrelandtarotmaster.com now and discover how Elaine's mentoring, tarot card and psychic readings, tarot card classes, and more help you to grow into the true being you are meant to be. Welcome to Conversations with the Ancients, where you're about to discover a whole different world than the one that, up until now, you've believed you're familiar with. World-renowned metaphysicist, practicing psychic and tarot teacher Elaine Ireland invites you on a journey where you'll hear voices from the past, interviews with some of the greatest metaphysicians you've never heard of, because in their time, they needed to move with stealth. You'll also meet today's spirit mediums, healers, and others who will show you a side of the paranormal you've never seen before. Be sure you visit our website at conversationswiththeancients.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, hear the words of metaphysicians who blazed the trail. You're not in jail, thanks to them.
This is Tracy St. Croi, public.
And three,
Say hey.
We'll go. 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Tracy St. Croi, medium. Her somewhere in her literature, she claims to be a kick-ass medium, and I agree. She's a kick-ass medium. When she said that, I had to laugh, but then I thought, why am I laughing? It's true. First of all, I'm Elaine, in case anybody wondered. I want Tracy to tell you what she means by the word medium, because it does vary with techniques and teachings from a variety of people. Not everybody is the same kind of medium, and we'll explain that later. What is your kind of medium, Tracy? How do you practice, and how did you get there? How did you learn that?
Oh, lots of stuff. Well, thank you for having me on, Elaine. I'm always honored to be able to speak with you and share space and share knowledge with you and your audience. So thank you, everybody who is listening out there. Yes, there's multiple types of mediumship. And like Elaine said, we will hit that later. But my own, and I will say this, my own personal definition of mediumship pertains to only communicating with deceased people. Now, I realize that people channel animals and they channel, ascended masters and angels and aliens and all sorts of other, energetic beings, right? But to me, mediumship is channeling deceased loved ones, getting evidence of that person, communicating it to the sitter or the person who is receiving the message, getting validation of who you're speaking to in the spirit world, because that's a huge thing, getting evidence and validation, and then continuing on with a message. So I've always come from the school that mediumship is dead people talk. Channeling is, all kinds of other things. And the reason that I differentiate that from channeling other things is the evidence of it, right? We can prove who we're speaking to coming through in the spirit world. We can say, yes, that's my brother. Yes, that's my mother. Yes, that's my, whatever. We can do that with pets a little bit as well, but for things like guides and angels and ascended masters, that can get real, it can get real waffly. So, I'm always willing to change my mind, but that's where that's where I stand on that today.
Why did you decide? Okay, let me back up here. She used the word channeling a while ago, and the public will probably see at some point in time on business cards or advertising or whatever, psychic mediums. I used to laugh about that because to me, a medium was psychic. So why do double talk? But there's channeling. Some people channel, but in the old days, a medium was somebody that their body was used for communication. Sometimes their features changed, their voices changed. They spoke a language that they usually didn't speak. And that was somebody taking over their body. That was a medium 50 years ago, and it's changed. Channeling now is that, where your mediumship is identifying, what is the word? The evidentiary? I always say it wrong.
Evidential medium.
There you go. And it's a validation, like she said. You get a physical description, or you get somebody say, you always did like popcorn. And then okay, that's Uncle Harry. You know that. That's positive. But that's also being psychic. You almost have to be one without the other. There are people who are mediums, but they couldn't find a body or a keychain if they had to.
You got that right.
And that's okay. We're talking about what you do.
Yeah, what I do, I'm both very psychic and a medium. The school that I come from says this, and we've talked about this off air so many times, that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums.
Right.
And I have seen that to be true. And, like I said, I'm always willing to change my mind and have a different perspective. But from what I can see, I'm like, just like you said, some of these psychics couldn't find a body or a keychain if they had to. And that's just that. And that's not knocking their abilities or who they are as a metaphysician. It's just saying, like, that's not their niche, right? There's things that I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. But I like to see, though, mediumship and metaphysics, why I love it so much, Elaine, is because it is an ever-evolving art and science all in one. As we learn more, we create more. We know more. We can do more. We can be more. And that's what I love about it. And there are, going back to what you said about back in the olden days about what a medium was, we can talk about that later, the 3 different styles of mediumship.
Well, yeah.
But it's an interesting life.
You used another word that I think needs to be acknowledged, a niche, your niche. And I think it's really important because there are thousands and thousands of practitioners in the world, and they're all good to whatever level they happen to be working on at that particular time. And like she just said, we continue to learn. And I'm a firm believer that every time you do a reading, you are being taught as well as giving information, sharing information to your client. And sometimes that spirit's way of saying, okay, you're getting ready to go through this, pay attention to what they're doing, or you just got through with this, share your knowledge with them off psychic as well on a more personal basis, as well as what they're talking about. If we were all in the same niche, how boring would that be?
Exactly.
Plus, it gives the client, if they can go to 4 or 5 different people, psychics, astrologers, numerologists, whatever, and they get the same information, that's validation within itself. That's what they really need to pay attention. And at psychic fairs particularly, I'll suggest to people, if you have the time and the budget, get at least 3 readings and ask the same question exactly the same way. And if you get double information, that's what you act on or don't act on in some cases. Yeah. You said something about schools a while ago. Tell these folks where you have spent some hard-earned money and lots of time going to.
Ooh-wee.
England. What's in England?
Arthur Findlay College of Psychic Sciences is in England. That is.
Tell them about that.
So I'll tell you a story about how I landed there. So most people who know me, when I do something, I do it. When I say I'm, like the song says, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like, don't dare me, don't test me, I'm going to do it. And when, Spirit, I like to jokingly say, told me, Valen told me I was going to be doing this and, kind of rustled me to the ground a bit. And I was like, all right, uncle. I said, okay, here are my negotiation points. I want to do this work, but I will only learn from the cream of the crop. I will only learn from people who love, honor, and find the craft with integrity, who come from a place of love, of teaching the craft and seeing students grow. And for those people who really, really, really just get a kick out of people developing. And a place that's fun, right?
Right.
Who wants to go to psychic school and it's boring? Nobody, right? So Spirit held up their end of the bargain on that. Spirit put me at your doorstep. Spirit put me in front of Colette Baron-Reed. Spirit got me money again and again and again to go to Arthur Findlay College of Psychic Sciences and its sister school, The Journey Within.
Until I read part of your bio thing, which is beautiful. You people need to go to her website. It's a beautiful website. I had never heard of that school by that name, but I know you had gone there because you told me you were going upstate somewhere, but I just never knew the name.
Yeah. And, Arthur Findlay, at the time that I went there, I can't, I don't know what's going on there now. I'm not on the up and up about everything, but I can speak about my experience there, which was, nothing short of magical. It is a absolute cocoon that you get to immerse yourself in for weeks at a time. Developing classes, whatever you want. Their niche is psychics and mediumship, but they have a lot of other courses to be able to take advantage of as well. But you're living in a castle, a very haunted castle for a week with 100 or so other psychic mediums. What could happen? All the things. It's just so fun.
Various ages, various experiences.
Yes.
A variety of sharing.
There's a variety of ages from, you see youngins at 18-year-old and, you see people into their 80s and 90s wanting to go there. And I was just tickled to death to be able to go from there and learn from the tutors that were there. That was my crown jewel for it still is, because the development, the lessons, the teachings, the time, the energy that was given to me was essential for the work that Spirit had me doing moving forward. I needed that.
That particular school has been around for 100 years, something like that. She's serious when she says it's a castle. Go online and look at it. Arthur Findlay, outside of London. I have not been. It is on my bucket list before I have to stay home. But they do have online classes. But I'm going to take that statement and say, yes, if that's the only way you can go to a class, go. But anything you can go to in person, the energy is different. And the volume of the energy is 100 times better. So, yes, do as much in person as you possibly can. But,
yes.
And then the other school is in the United States. There are other schools as well. And I'm harping on schools because you will meet people in schools that you will create lifetime friendships with. And you will continue to learn to teach each other. When I was teaching more than I am now, usually the first night of class, I would gather everybody together and we would decide on a time and a day if that day didn't work. And everybody, I didn't care. Everybody got to choose. And I kept my classes smaller. But one of the things I would tell people the very first night was, it's no accident that you're here. You're supposed to be here. Even if you never see each other face to face again, there's a reason why you're here. And when I had to teach on Zoom, I would tell people the same thing. And that was back when we had the epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. And some people did drop out, but you make lifelong friends, and then they go do their thing and they wander back and you get to share again. So organized classes is important. Out of that, you will have books, you'll have videos, you'll have other events that you can go, conferences that you can go to. So don't try to do it by yourself.
It doesn't work.
It's hard to do it by yourself. And when people learn I have observed this through the years, when people try to learn a subject by themselves, they tend to interpret. And Tracy will tell you, I scream that word over and over and over again to classes. I'm sure they get sick of hearing it. I teach the tarot. The tarot cards have a meaning. They were created to tell you something and to tell a story. You don't interpret, you read. You tell the story, it tells you. It's the same thing with other subjects that she's talking about. The mediumship, the psychic development. There's a reason why your soul picks up on those words and run with it and develop it and share it with other people. So I could take the same classes that 5 other people take and walk away with something totally different. But it's what I needed at the time. So public, take classes, read books, talk to people. Don't be afraid. Find your safe space. And by the way, this podcast will be a safe space. We're going to have a safe space corner that we're going to develop maybe once or twice a month. So anyway, back to Tracy. So you've got trying to find something else that I took a note on, Tracy. The classes that she took, I think it's important to tell people that we as readers and practitioners, we spend our money on the books and on the classes, and we work hard to maintain a level of knowledge that we can use with the public and always continue to add to that knowledge. So it's not like we just decided yesterday we were going to do this. Although I've met some people that decided 4 or 5 days ago. I've had people bring decks of cards to class they haven't even opened yet. But they just thought it would be a fun thing to do. And then, they got involved. And they stuck around. Where are you're teaching now, right?
Yes.
What are you teaching? What have you taught?
Oh God, what have I taught? I've taught multiple levels of mediumship, from beginner to intermediate to platform, all levels of psychic development, different topics within psychic development, whether that is, enhancing your strengths or looking at how to, pull in more generalized information to help you. Different sorts of classes like that. I do mentoring one-on-one. So I realize that some people can't take classes, can't fully commit. So I said, like, okay, what do you want a speed round on? I can give you a speed round for this, but I've taught a lot. I've taught a lot about energetic management, oracle cards, oracle reading cards, a little bit on tarot.
You started teaching with tarot, though, didn't you?
Yes.
Wasn't that your first thing that you taught?
No, actually, my first class that I taught was mediumship, because I fell in love with it and it was so natural to me.
Which leads to her new project that she's been working really hard for, 2 years now to get to fruition. Tell them about your well, it's not a there'll be a podcast attached to it, but you're she's getting ready to go big time.
Yeah, launching this year. I got signed to Binge Network TV, and so we are in the process of the finishing touches of season 1 for my show called Haunted Road Trip Show, where I go to different paranormal locations and we do investigations based upon what mediums see, feel, and hear versus all of the techie stuff, the tech bro thing, and all of that avenue. And no, we're on the show because half the time we got a lot more information than those devices can bring in. We can bring in a lot more that's super helpful.
Okay, devices. What devices?
So, like, sometimes people have spirit box or EMF readers or REM pods or EVPs.
Tell people what those are.
So, EVPs are electronic voice phenomenon, and those are typically short phrases or short words that are caught on a recorded media. So whether that's like a little handheld recording device, your phone, a camera, whatever it is. Those are EVPs. You have different like spirit boxes, the SB7 spirit box, which we've, I got my little hunty over there and she'll make her appearance. And so that is a device that sweeps many, many radio stations at one time and allows for really kind of clear and accurate communication with spirit. I heard my parents' voice through this box, like heard it. And I hadn't heard their voice in decades. And I was just stunned. So we incorporate a little bit of that, but it is more like, let's let spirit talk, because that's what's been missing from a lot of these paranormal shows. They don't let spirit talk. They command answers. And it's like, give them space, give them time to get to know you. What do they want to say? And I'm not like dogging on other shows, but I'm saying, we can do this a different way. Let's do it.
I'd like to see us be able to have the machine sitting on the table and carry on a conversation that other people can understand. Because sometimes listening to the box, you have to almost train your ear to it because it's a little staticky. But there are improvements that are being made constantly, and I'm sure you're on top of that. But one of these days, we're going to be able to have a communication tool.
Yes.
It takes a lot of energy, folks, for spirit to come through to us and for us to be able to hear it. That's why meditation is so helpful, because it raises our vibration. It opens up, lets them come down to us. We can actually feel and hear their energy. And it's hard for them. So to have a tool that could be very helpful.
Yeah.
Like the radio boxes.
It is.
That's what they look like to me, is a little radio box.
It does. It's super cute. The way that I have her all kind of bougied. But yeah, that's what I tell my students that a lot. A lot of times people will ask me whether they're clients or they're just curious. I'm at a dinner party or out on a date or something, and they're like, how does that happen? And I tell them, like, I can't exactly explain like all of the science behind it, but what I can tell you is when you're able to chill out and quiet your mind, like I say, give crackers to the squirrels who are messing with the wiring, give them something to go do. That's when you make room for spirit. I remember the first time. I remember I was studying tarot with you. And I knew I was going to do mediumship, and I had kind of started educating myself about it. And I was at Nature's Treasures, and I was doing a reading there. And I remember sitting across the table from this lady. And I remember feeling as if somebody was bumping up against my left arm. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And then I hear in my mind, make room for us. And I'm like, of course it freaked me out. Like, I was like, what do you mean make room? Right? So I was like, it was one of those things during the reading. It was like, talk to spirit guides later about check. But what I realized was, and that was the start of me going into mediumship. But what I realized is spirit was wanting me to make a little bit more room in my mind so that deceased loved ones could come in and talk. But I will never forget that, how stunned I was, because I was like, oh.
Kind of scary.
It was, well, Elaine, as a professional psychic reader, when we are in session with people, sometimes things do happen like that to us. Sometimes we might see an orb out of our eye or hear something else that kind of startles us or jars us. But we as the reader have to stay in a state of neutrality. And also we're setting the energy for that reading. So if we start freaking out, they're going to start freaking out. Like we have to set that pace. But I've had a few things happen to me where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to freak out. I'll freak out and get in the car and call Elaine later, but I'm not going to freak out right now.
I have to tell the public I love sharing this. I don't remember how Tracy found me. How did you find my phone number? Did somebody give you my number or something?
Yeah, actually, I just gotten into recovery. And to say my gifts had opened up like a geyser is an understatement. And my apartment was like Grand Central Station. It was unreal. All the information I was getting, I didn't know how to sift it, sort it, categorize it, structure it. I felt like in my mind I was going crazy. And in my mind, the only solution that came up with is I was like, well, you congratulations, girl, you drank your head off. Like this is the consequences. And luckily enough, I was able to meet somebody within the AA rooms that was like, hey, I call this woman. And it happened to be you. And I remember I called and I was crying. I mean, the snot cry, because I was convinced that it was ruined. I was ruined. I was going to have to check into like some kind of institution and be there the rest of my life. Like I had, you know what I'm saying? Like I had like already crashed a ship, right? And I remember you told me, you listened to me so patiently. And you said, oh no, honey, you're just psychic as hell. Now I'm having a beginner tarot and intuitive class development at my house, and I need you to come on over on Tuesday evenings. And I was like, okay, we'll figure out a payment plan later, but I need to have you here. Can you do that? Yes, I can. And
she's being nice. This is what I told her. Get your ass over here.
Yes. I literally turned up on her doorstep, like a stray on her doorstep, needing family. I needed motherly love. I needed community. I needed a lot at that point. I won't lie. It was early recovery. I was extremely needy. But
smart and patient, and really on some level knew exactly what she needed to do with what she had. And some people do, some people don't. Some people will take a class or two, put it down, walk away from it, go, and maybe they'll come back to it later. But she took what she had, got serious about it, and never stopped. I don't remember how many years ago that's been, but she has not stopped at all. She had a full-time job. She still did this. She was trying to transition from job to this. And she's like most anybody that has the gift and wants to make this a profession. It was, I'm not going to be able to make enough money. And it is hard. We have to charge our clients what our town will allow, what the dollar mark is on the town. I can go to New York and charge 5 times what I can charge here. And they don't even gasp air because that's the norm. I can go to Oklahoma. Maybe I can charge what I charge here. Maybe I can't. But we still go because we want to help people. She never stopped with that intention because she knew that's where she belonged. You mentioned the word community. And we are a community. I don't care where we live. We know of other readers, other vendors, other businesses, and other towns, other states. If we don't live there, we can probably within an hour find at least 3 people to refer to that person that needs help in that area. My first thing is usually, is there a bookstore within 20 miles of where you live that sells metaphysical products?
Yeah.
Ask them who are the readers in your area, because sometimes they're not advertising.
Exactly.
We still have to go underground in some areas.
Oh yeah. In some areas, you know, we got to lay low a little bit. I've never been really that good at that, but
No, you came on like a
I was always like, I got to a point
wrecking ball.
where I was like, I don't really care about your opinion because I don't.
Yeah.
But you know, I was, you know, I was lucky. I was very determined. I had a path, I had a course set. Others, you know, kind of, you know, step in, they step out. They need, you know, they need to find their way on what they're gonna do. And yeah, I tell my students a lot. I was like, this is a great life. I love what the service that I'm able to do for a living, but it ain't no joke working. This is a business, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think it's not, it's a business.
I didn't treat my work as a business for many, many years, as a real business. And Tracy's one of the people that, in the last 10 years, that have begun to treat her work as a business. She has a high ethic. She keeps business records. We all pay taxes, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We have to pay IRS just like anybody else does. It's an income.
Right. I don't want Uncle Sugar Daddy coming knocking at my door.
Yeah.
You pay him.
Yeah. And it's, for the most part, it's, we're considered entertainment. And some business cards for over the years, to protect the people legally, they would have on their business cards for entertainment purposes only. Because some communities, and I don't know if Boston is still one of them. I was talking to somebody about this the other night. On their legal books, if you smell things, well, the group of sentences that describes being crazy is if you smell something, see something, hear something, feel something that no one else does, you are crazy and you can be committed. And it doesn't even have to be your family. It could be a stranger, someone who's afraid of you, typically. So that's why people would say on their business cards, for entertainment only. So we give you what we can and you take it or you leave it. But we do that anyway. We expect that anyway. We're not licensed. There are licensed therapists in our community that do this work as well. They can put that on their cards. They're licensing. There are ministers that do the work also. There are other licensed kind of people. And even we've had some chiropractors, which are hands-on healers, which are it's really cool when you get the medical field involved. It's really neat. Or the legal field. We have attorneys that do this. And some of us have worked with attorneys in selecting juries. I've talked to Tracy about that. We can't anymore. The courts won't let us. And what's funny is when I was called up several times for jury duty, I knew the judge, I knew both attorneys, and I knew the lady that was doing the typing for it.
Uh-huh.
And the second time I went in,
and you knew that guy was guilty too, right?
Yeah, one of the sheriff's department people came over. He was very, very quiet, and he had a little piece of paper in his hand, and I knew what was coming. I happened to be sitting on an aisle seat, and he leaned down and he said, "Miss Ireland?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "This is for you." I opened it, and it was one of the attorneys had written me. I saw him. I saw where he came from. "You are dismissed." And I just looked at the attorney. I just looked at the attorney, and she did this, like, "Go."
Bye.
And she knew. She knew. So but yet we will have attorneys in our community doing the work. And I've talked to some of them about that. How do you work around your psychic ability when you take this case? And their answers have been really interesting. Sometimes people have turned down cases, but sat kind of off. Some of us in the community have become licensed private investigators, so we can be up on the stand. So if we come out with well, this is how we figured it out. And sometimes the word psychic comes out, or aren't you really da 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 da? Yes, but this is how I got the information for this.
Yes, but as you see on my card, it's for entertainment purposes only, ma'am.
Right. Yeah. So I want people that are listening to you to know who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, what your love is all about it, and why the community, and you've done that, and why the community as a whole is important to you. You said when you came on my doorstep, you needed da da da. I knew that when I opened the door. I knew that when I hung up, but I didn't know to what degree. And so many of us are chased. So many of us are rejected by family, friends, religious communities, whatever, even the lady next door that's scared to death of us. And, as we're kids, if we come up with this as kids, they don't want their kids playing with us. You get it. You get the idea. So we create a community of our own, and we're very protective of each other, no matter what city you live in or what you do.
It's amazing. It's amazing connections. And that's why I encourage people to take in-person classes, both in their communities as well as outside of their communities. And they don't have to go to the schools that I go to the one that's calling you. But the connections and the networking that you meet will be absolutely invaluable to you moving forward.
Moving forward, that's really, really important. We never stop. We never stop learning. We never stop sharing.
We never stop that. Our journey is never over, and it just keeps getting more and more fun and more interesting. And especially with when you really put your heart and your soul towards studying a craft. Now, even if you have a full-time job of it, a lot of people in this field have other full-time jobs that they working from the state to being lawyers, to being all kinds of professions that have jobs as well. But they know they also need to honor the contract that they signed before they came in here to work with spirit as well, in whatever capacity that was. For me, it happened to be more of a kind of a very kind of like, oh no, you're doing this. Like there's not another path. Like, this is it for right now. For right now, this is where we need you. And it was obvious to me, and it worked. Doors opened, synchronicity happened. I've always been taken care of. And what I find so valuable about this community is, you can reach out to a lot of people with a lot of weird stuff. Help me solve this. Or I need a ritual cleansing for this. What do you suggest? And you'll get all kinds of answers from people. This community.
That's another thing about our metaphysical world. We have so many cultures that we can pull from. Everything from the East Indian, American Indian, Druids, you name it, Wiccan. We have so many. I don't even know what to call it.
Metaphysicians, just of all sorts.
Yeah, metaphysicians, and we have shaman that are not only American Indians, but other cultures, but call themselves shamans. And In fact, we have a mutual friend that will be on soon. Uh, she left her licensing behind because she was a wonderful shaman, and the Texas board wouldn't let her keep her license if she had anything to do with shamanism. So she said, "That's my calling." And she still works as a therapist, but she can't call herself that
On
because
top
of
of
the
it, Elaine, I would like to point out too, when she relinquished her license to the state of Texas, her business increased 20%.
yeah. Well, there you go. And she still counsels, but she just can't use the letters behind her name.
She has,
But now she adds her shamanism, her wisdom.
yeah.
And she's a woman, what, in her 60s probably?
No,
That's
she's in her late 70s.
Is she? That woman has lived a life and she shares it. So
She is the wise woman of the woods, I tell everybody. If you
that's
want,
because she lives in the woods.
exactly. She lives in the woods. Her office is like walking into a gorgeous wooded area, like the whole theme. Like if you want to see happy woman of the woods that wants to help you help yourself, that woman is it.
Yep.
And you know, our community is, you know, some of us are overt and some of us are a little bit more covert people. You can't always decipher who we are at any one given, you know, situation, which I kind of like. As well, being able to blend into the public. You know, the public has this. I show up a lot to party readings and corporate events and, you know, fundraisers and corporate events that I'll do like training at for, you know, sales teams and marketing teams. And they will hands down, I can guarantee somebody throughout those events will say, I pictured somebody totally different in my mind. You look like somebody that I would be working on a project with. No, exactly.
Yeah. There years and years and years ago, I stopped. Well, I never if somebody wanted me to do a Halloween party or something like that, inevitably they made a request and I would say no. I will dress. What is your color theme? What are your servers? Are you having people catering? What's their color theme? And I will dress that. I'm not wearing a costume of any sort to do readings because most of us of my age, we put up with a lot of crap early on.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be as normal as possible. I've been an elementary school teacher. I've been a real estate agent. I've owned 3 businesses. I've raised kids. I'm a grandmother. I'm a great grandmother. That's perfectly normal. But we made an effort to blend in. Now, yes, the 70s, I'll be right up front. I'm a bra burner on the corner of 4th and Congress. I laid down I laid down pregnant in our capital in Austin, Texas, to because I didn't like what they were doing in Vietnam. Okay. My husband at the time was working for IBM, and he told his boss what was going on, and his boss jokingly said, as long as she doesn't get in the newspaper. Well, guess who got in the newspaper? But I was with another group of women, but he didn't get fired, which was good. In fact, they all kind of gave him a hard time about it for about 3 years. But we bleed. We love, we cry, we laugh, we do silly things. We have crazy sense of humors. We're normal everyday people. I'm told I make a heck of a cobbler. She does too. Her berry cobbler, she can sell it. But part of this podcast is to get the public to know us.
Yeah. And
on a different level.
Back on one of your statements just slightly on the statement that you said we're normal. No, we're not.
Is anybody normal?
We can look normal. We can play a part normally, you know, social etiquette, social graces, things of that sort. We ain't normal. I mean,
we're different.
Not. And I'm okay with that. I like being neurospicy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be bland You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the bland mayonnaise at the table. I want to be the ooh, what's that spicy dish? What am I gonna get? She looks pretty. What's she? Um, and that, and that's what I really love about what service I am able to give to others and the industry that I'm in, because there's never a dull moment at a dinner party with me, because
True.
if the cat gets out of the bag, that's it. The questions are rolling, right? The wine is flowing and the questions are rolling, which is fun, depending, I don't go to dinner parties with people I don't like. So there you go. Or people I don't know won't be, friendly or anything like that. But we're normal in the sense of, we got to pay our taxes. We got to pay our bills. We got to eat. We got to sleep. We go shopping. We zone out. You know what I'm saying? We dance, we love, we eat, we travel, we have a lot of fun, we have relationships, all of that. But we just tend to be more present and aware of the non-ordinary reality that's going on all around us.
And then there's somebody like me, the little grandmother, that they don't see coming.
No, they don't. And I like her as my cover because I can take her anywhere and be like, oh, sweet old little lady, we're going to play this up.
It's fun to be able to just kind of slip through the cracks.
It is. But I mean, for those who, are wanting to study this or wanting to even just get curious about it, find some Facebook groups. Not all of them are good. Find another one, right? Connect with me, connect with Elaine, get in one of our classes, get in one of our groups. Find that community, because your learning and your growth and who you're supposed to meet doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to be proactive about your development and your learning. And yes, you can sit there and go, Spirit, God, Buddha, Allah, whatever you talk to, I want to study this, bring me the right people, places, and things. Well, when those doors open and those opportunities come, say yes. Say yes.
That's hard for a lot of people because, my grandmother used to say, be careful what you wish for. Because sometimes it'll knock on your door the very next day and you're going, holy crap. Oh, no. Some people are ready for that next day activity. Some people need to ease into it. I don't care. Spiritual growth is a very, very, very intimate relationship with oneself. And it will involve your body. Your body will change. You will vibrate at a different frequency. You'll learn about that as you learn about your subjects. Your mind will change. Typically, you become more open-minded than you've ever been before. And I used to tell my students, you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. It's going to think you're crazy. Some, I was lucky I grew up with an open-minded family. But some have lost everything they have. And they've gotten divorces. They've been, what do they call it? Ostracized. I always say that word wrong, by their churches and communities. One family not too long ago was literally run out of their neighborhood. And that's just been 3 or 4 years ago. So it's often not easy, but it's something that once it starts, if that's your road, you can't stop it. Public, you can't. You can back it up. She slowed down a couple of times and taken care of business, something else, got something straightened out. I had kids, didn't do readings for years, but that doesn't mean, because everything we exchange every single day, there's a purpose for it.
Yeah.
Every single thing. We go to the grocery store. What do we observe? What do we feel? What do we hear? It gets a little tiring sometimes walking down the aisles, knowing that somebody's pregnant and going, oh, I wonder if that person da-da-da-da-da. If I don't put my web up, I pick up all kinds of crap that I don't need. And it's real hard not to say something to somebody, but if it's not asked, you don't. But we have to do it. And even if we walk away from it to raise kids, we'll come back to it. but we never stop growing. Once you open that door, you do not stop. Not knowledgeably. Oh, your self-awareness never goes away, no matter how hard you try to stuff it. And she's a perfect example of that.
I remember
as a practitioner.
You can try to close the door, but the light will still come through the cracks.
Say that
about yeah, I remember that years ago you told that to our class. Like you can try to shut the door on this, but it'll be like the Hogwarts situation where the letters all come flying in from every which direction. Like spirits, the light is you, is what I tell people. Like the light is not outside of you. The light is you. You are the light. Like you can't escape that. You can deny it. You can try and bury it. Hard and painful. I wouldn't advise that. But I always say, take this and have some fun with it. And, I say like the people who are meant to be along on your journey will be along on your journey. And those that won't, well, that's all you needed from them. You need anything else.
It's interesting in the metaphysical community because we recognize each other.
Oh, yeah.
Even before we meet each other. We can be in a room of strangers, and even if that person is not a practitioner, we'll pick up their level, their awareness. And sometimes we feel comfortable, and sometimes we make them uncomfortable because they pick up on us too, and they don't want us to say anything. So we don't, but sometimes we do.
Sometimes they're afraid of what we know or what they think that we know. So I would like to clarify this, and I'd like to take a moment to clarify this, is that psychics and intuitives, we're not mind readers. Okay? We're not. We sit down in front of you or we're at a random table. We don't know everything about you. I don't want to know everything about you. I don't want to know your deepest, darkest secrets. Ew, that's for you. When I am, Tracy St. Croi out in public and I'm shopping and I'm doing my thing, I'm off. I'm off duty. Yeah, I'm going to get some things here and there. Yeah, of course. But I'm off duty. I want to buy some clothes. I want to grab some coffee. I want to gossip with my girlfriends. That's that. And when I'm at dinner parties and things like that, yeah, I might pick up on a little something here and there because that's just our innate ability, right? Just like anybody who's in law enforcement will walk into a room and they will size that room up instantly about where they need to stand and who they need to get away from. It's like doctors who will look at you, and if they're a good enough clinician, they can see what's going on inside your body, how you walk, what a posture, where you probably had an injury at. It's just natural, but it doesn't mean we have to say anything. That's the thing. It's like, it's none of my business. Just because I know something, I'm not going to say something. And we don't know everything, right? We don't, we really don't. And people don't understand when people came to oracles, and I'm talking back in like Alexander the Great type of days, right? Back in, a very long time ago. They would come there with a lot of reverence, and they would just ask their questions, they would get their answers, and they would leave. I don't know where things turned around that we have to know everything and tell them everything. Like, how did everything get so twisted like that, right? Like, I don't want to know everything about these people, right? And plus,
it's a lot to carry around.
It's a lot to carry around for people to sit down in front of us. We can get, the dominant energy about why you're sitting down around us. And I can get dominant energy, and I can say to somebody like, hey, do you want to talk about that abusive relationship you keep walking in and out of? Nope, I don't know what you're talking about. My man is the best man in the whole wide world. He loves me from here to there. Okay. And by the end of the reading, it's, how you brought up that relationship. Can we talk about that? Yeah.
There's a trust that has to be earned.
Yeah.
And we're not therapists. I don't want to be anybody's therapist, but I've had therapists tell me psychics are probably the most underpaid therapist around if they're good at what they do. And that's true. I really believe that. We help. But the thing we have to do, we can't diagnose. We're not doctors. We can't say, hey, you've got throat cancer. But we can say, when was the last time you went to a good doctor? When was the last time you had a good checkup? When you go, not if, but when you go in the next 2 months, please have them look in this area specifically. Well, what do you see? I don't know what I see. I just feel something's going on there. That's the best we can do.
Yeah.
But it's our responsibility. If we get something, that's the message for them. It's not ours.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful how we say it. As long as we help them help themselves, that's important.
Exactly. I tell a lot of people, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not your gambling bookie. I'm not. Like, I am not those things. If you think the law is after you, I think you need to call a lawyer, because this psychic ain't gonna help you out. Like, law enforcement comes to me, I'll tell you what, I will squawk, because I'm not going to jail. But yeah, I tell a lot of people, like, hey, we can. Let me phrase it in this way. We as humans will only allow somebody else to help us as far as we can trust them or we want them to help us. And that's it. Like, it's got nothing to do with your integrity as a person. It's just somebody else. Like, how far will they allow you to help them be into their, kind of see into their energy, and some well and some won't. And, that we get to learn that journey about boundaries and about other people's journeys and going, okay, I did the best I could. But it is a path that you learn things over time. You learn things. I like to say this path is kind of like a, it's like a big tapa bar. You get a little tapa here, little appetizer, little appetizer, little appetizer. Maybe sometimes you eat a plate from the buffet every once in a while, but mostly it's little bits and chunks of what you need that's going to help you out, help your clients, because I can tell you, just like you said earlier, when, I can guarantee you, when you start studying like a new subject within metaphysics, boom, you will start to have clients and people come to you that need that exact knowledge that you just learned about.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a good point to make. I tell people all the time, learning a subject is the best way to trust your own instinct and psychic abilities, and to open yourself up. I don't care what it is, astrology, numerology, one of the thousands and thousands of types of cards out there, even taking psychic development classes and focusing. If you're in the healing arts, I tell people all the time, Reiki is a wonderful way of learning how to focus, even if you don't practice Reiki itself. It's a wonderful way of learning how to cycle the energy and learn how to focus energy. And you can use Reiki. You can do long distance healing. Reiki, Reiki, is thousands of years old, a modality, a healing modality. There are others, yes, but that is one that's been around thousands of years. But overall, it's a fabulous, if not one of the top 3 ways of learning how to open up and focus your energy. No matter what you're learning or doing, what you decide, how you decide to go forward with what you're going to do with the public.
Yes.
And know that nothing, even if you take 6 weeks of something and you go, well, that was wasted money. I didn't learn anything. That was boring. But it wasn't. It went into your subconscious and your super sub. And at some point in time, if not this lifetime, another lifetime, it will be part of your strengths and you will use it.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Yeah. What books, and I know I'm bouncing this on you right now, so you don't have to give me the titles right now. We're creating a library, and it's going to be one of the arms of this podcast website is reference material, book titles, DVD titles, and they're going to be credited. If Tracy has 2 or 3 favorites or however many favorites, it will be listed under her name. And so if you have any, if you can't think of any right now, text them to me and I will make sure it goes into the library arm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, I have a book called, it was a Amazon bestseller called 7 Tips and Tricks to Enhance Your Intuition. A guide.
Now, say that again because I don't think you said it very softly. So say it a little louder.
I even have a photo of it. Yes, 7.
That was her first book.
Yes, to enhance your intuition. You can find it on Amazon. It's a practical guide to knowing, loving, and trusting your intuition. It's an easy, super easy read. Comes with a few free meditations as well. It really, it really is depending on where somebody is at their journey, what they feel called to learn. But when students typically come to me, one of the first questions I ask them is, tell me about your higher power. Do you have a higher power? Do you have spirit? Do you Allah, Buddha, whatever you call it, God? Do you have a higher power? Because that's first and foremost what I would say we're going to work on. We're going to work on cultivating that relationship on whatever, higher power it is that's going to be coming out for you. And the reason is because we co-create this life. We co-create with spirit. And getting to know spirit in the form that we know how to communicate with our own lexicon with spirit. And getting that sorted out first. So I would say Conversations with God was always still an entertaining book for me to be able to go to, for sure.
That's one you can read now and read 5 or 6 years later and get even more from it. That's something I've found with all books, but I'm a book person, but especially metaphysical stuff and religious stuff as well, because we change. We open up in different ways. We mature differently. Yes. We go through ups and downs. So she purposely wrote a short, simple book, but it's chock full of good things to use to get where you want to go for the next step, the next step, the next step. And it's one that you want to keep in your library so you can pull it out and read it again, even if it's just 2 or 3 pages at a time.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get a list of her favorites too, whatever that might be.
Oh, yes. We will definitely get a whole entire list going, and let's I have had an absolute blast on here. Unless you have some more questions you want to talk to me about.
We're going to end it because I happen to know you have a full evening ahead of you, and we are evening time right now.
Yes.
Here in Central Texas. So I'm going to let you go. But this will not be the last time that Tracy St. Croi is with us. You can find her on the internet on a variety of
social medias. Yeah. TikTok, Instagram, on a road trip show, on YouTube. I'm pretty easy to find.
Yes, absolutely. And her last name, of course, you can see is spelled STCROI. Yes, it is later in the afternoon. But I have white dots right now.
I saw
the slats
in the window.
Yeah, the sun's coming in through my slats in my office. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate your time very much. Thank you, public.
Right.
Thank you, Tracy. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning into the Conversations with the Ancients, where we take you on a journey where you'll hear voices of metaphysicians from the past, as well as today's spirit mediums, healers, and others who show you a side of the paranormal you've never seen before. Remember to visit our website at conversationswiththeancients.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Conversations with the Ancients.